Hello everybody and welcome to another fly tying session with your host Scott. In this session we're going to be tying a fly pattern known as the Daiwl Bach. It's an extremely popular pattern in the United Kingdom and it's tied to represent a variety of different aquatic insects in their larval stage. And Daiwl Bach means little devil in Welsh. And I believe I'm doing the original one here. Or at least I think it's the original colour scheme that it was in, not necessarily the original materials, but we're going to give it a go anyway. So the thread I'm going to use is standard black thread by Uni. In the vise we've got a Camazan B830 in size 14, which I think it gives you the proper proportions for a nymph, at least in my opinion. For the tail and the beard we're going to be using a Indian cock cape in ginger, and we're going to be using one of these larger feathers at the bottom end of the cape. So I always hold it upside down in the videos. That's the head end and that's the tail end. There's the larger feathers at the tail end. We're going to be using peacock herl for the body. We'll be using these strands here probably, and we're going to be using a red tinsel. This is optional. I'm going to be using some goose biot for the cheeks. This one's in toxic yellow. I believe the original pattern uses jungle cock. You can obviously, if you're a beginner, if you feel that's too many steps for you, you can just leave that out if you prefer. So we're going to come in and bed the hook with the black thread. Now there's lots of different variations of this fly out there, different coloured ribs, different coloured beards and tail. You can use a pearl tinsel across the back to create a flashback Daiwl Bach, which may be another pattern that I'll do in the future. And they're all very, very effective, at least for other anglers. I don't actually do that well with them. This was actually one of the first patterns I learned to tie. My uncle taught me how to tie it, and yeah, but I've never really caught many fish with them. I don't know why, but hopefully that will change. I'm going to tie a few up for a box and we'll see how we get on. So we're going to grab one of the larger feathers. You don't really want to use the small feathers because you want to keep those for your hackles, for your wet flies and your dry flies. So you're going to get your feather, you just pull them away from the stem like that there, and then just tear them away. Try and keep them all in line. I'm going to come in, and you want a fairly short tail, probably about 3/4 of the body length. And come in with a pinch turn, and just drop them in like so. And that'll probably do. And trim so it's a head length away. Then you're going to come in with the tinsel. Some of you I've got cut earlier. So you always tie the material that you're going to wind around the hook last first, if that makes any sense. So that's in. And then we're going to get our peacock herl. Now you have to be quite choosy about what peacock herl you use. Obviously you need it to be fairly long, but you also want it to be fairly thin. You don't want it too bushy. The main reason for that is you want the fly to have a fairly slim profile, because it's meant to imitate chironomids as well as other nymphs as well. So I'm going to tie that in. And then we're going to tidy up. And bring the thread up towards the head. And there's a strand sticking out there. I'm not sure where that's come from. Might be one of the tail fibres. There we go. And then we're going to wind the peacock herl Now some people twist it, I don't like to twist it. And you want to keep a consistent tension on it, but you want to be quite gentle with it because it's a very weak fibre. And then tie it in a head length away from the eye. And then you're going to get your tinsel, and then you're going to wind the opposite way with your tinsel. You know, fairly consistent turns. And tie that in as well. Trim away. Then you're going to get some more fibres for your beard, but first you're going to have to turn the hook upside down. Hopefully you guys can still see. Yeah. And you're going to get another bunch. And then tie them in under the eye. There we go. And trim away very close. Otherwise you'll end up blocking the eye. There we go. And then turn the fly back over. And then you get some goose biot. Now, those of you who don't want to do this step, you can finish the fly off here. Now it's up to you, you can put it in one by one. I'm going to put it in one by one, but you can put it in one at a time. Sorry, two at a time. That's one. And you put one in the other side. I find it easier to do it this way anyway. And then once you're happy with where they are, you can lock them in. And then trim away. And you want to start forming your head. There we are, that will probably do it for the head. And then you're going to finish. I'm going to whip finish in this case, but if it's a beginner, then you can half hitch if you prefer. There we go. And now you fish these very similar to buzzers. You fish them as a team. A lot of people like to use an indicator, but they're very effective at least for other anglers anyway. If you turn up to a fishery and you're not quite sure what the fish are feeding on. And there we are, that's the Daiwl Bach in what I believe is the original coloration. Thank you all very much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.